grabé un episodio en inglés. ¿Cómo están? Hola y bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio de Un Café con Coco. Hoy llego con un episodio completamente diferente, nuevo, es una experiencia completamente distinta. Miren cómo estoy acelerada, que no puedo ni hablar bien, es que estoy demasiado emocionada porque grabé mi primer episodio en inglés. Hoy tengo la oportunidad de estar sentada con Mick, no sé cómo decir su apellido. Mick es irlandés y hace unos años decidió irse como mochilero para Sudamérica. Y en este episodio lo que hace es contarme su historia, cómo fue, qué lo llevó a tomar esa decisión, qué tal es ser inmigrante en Sudamérica, problemas que tuvo con visa, problemas que tuvo con el pasaporte, pero además las experiencias que vivió, lo que aprendió, lo que fue compartir con gente en su cultura. Y además un choque cultural muy interesante, una cultura completamente distinta a lo que ellos viven en Irlanda a lo que se vive en Sudamérica. Además que él no estuvo en un solo país, sino que él paseó muchísimo, llegó hasta Argentina. Es estando en Argentina que una gran amiga mía que se llama Verónica Artagona, del episodio número 4, hermana de Alexandra Artagona, del episodio anterior, el episodio especial de San Valentín, ellas la conocen allá. Y Verónica me dice, Coco, tú tienes que escuchar esta historia, tú tienes que hablar con él. Y de verdad que fue una conversación que yo disfruté un montón, porque es muy bonito ver Sudamérica a través de los ojos de una persona que no es latina. Este es un episodio que se grabó completamente en inglés. Mick habla más o menos español, pero decidimos llevar la conversación en inglés y de verdad que los invito a que me acompañen, a que escuchen, a que me cuenten si entienden mi inglés, el inglés de él. Él tiene acento, yo tengo acento. Fue un episodio súper divertido grabar y de verdad que, bueno, nada, espero que lo disfruten, que me acompañen, que me cuenten. Si les llama la atención los episodios en inglés, si quieren que traigamos personas que hablen inglés, porque yo no hablo ningún otro idioma, pero si les llama la atención, pues déjenme saber. Aprovecho y les cuento para los que me están viendo en YouTube, ya tenemos hoodie o sudadera, como le dicen en español, o suéter, como decíamos en Venezuela, de Un Café con Coco. Estoy demasiado emocionada, les dejo la información aquí debajo en la descripción del episodio, lo pueden comprar por Amazon y si están viendo detrás de mí también tengo el cojín, así que si me quieren apoyar, me pueden apoyar con esto. Para mí significa el mundo entero cada vez que veo a una persona con uno de los hoodies de Un Café con Coco, porque siento como que me abrazan. Ustedes se lo ponen y me mandan un abrazo. Como siempre les digo, también otro abrazo que me pueden dar es cada vez que le dan like, suscribir, compartir a estos episodios tanto por YouTube como por Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Estamos en iHeartRadio, en Radiocast, en Amazon Music. Ya entré a Amazon Music también. Así que tienes muchas opciones para compartirlo y para mí eso es lo máximo. Con eso los dejo por ahora, los dejo con Mick y los veo al final del episodio. Gracias. Hi, Mick. Thank you so much for joining me on an episode of the podcast. I don't even know how to say the name in English. So it's called Un Café con Coco, a coffee with me today. How are you doing?
I'm good. How's things, Coco?
Oh, good. So it's fun because we were talking earlier how we are in like kind of the same height in the world, but we're in the complete opposite end. I'm in Boston and you're in, I'm going to say this in American accent or whatever, Ireland.
Ireland, yeah. No, that's a good attempt. The accent's very hard to replicate, so no, it was a good attempt. So very well done.
Thank you. I'll try. I actually really enjoy your accent, and I love accents in general, honestly. But it's fun. I will never be able to like imitate it. There's no way.
Yeah, it's very hard. You probably may also need subtitles for this episode so that people can understand what I'm actually saying. But anyway, I'll try and speak slow.
There you go. I think we'll get there. So the reason why I invited you over, and it's fun because it's through a friend we have in common who actually lives in Argentina. You decided to backpack through South America. When? How did that start? Where did that idea come from?
Yeah, it was very like random in some aspects. I was just tired with my job and I always wanted to go to South America. I remember seeing a picture of Machu Picchu one day when I was like in university pretending to do assignments, and I was just like searching, traveling, and then I was like, oh my god, South America looks amazing. So I always wanted to go, and then I just kept like delaying it and putting it off. And then eventually I was like, right, I'm sick of my job. I just quit. I booked a one-way flight to Colombia, and I just took all my savings that I had, and I didn't really know how long I was going to last. I suppose just like, I was like, I'd go and see what happens and just go with the flow. And after that, then, yeah, 18 months later, a year and a half, I came back to Ireland. So yeah, it was a trip of a lifetime, to say the least.
I can only imagine. So this was recent. This was what, 2018, kind of?
Yeah, so July 2018, I got a one-way flight to Bogota, and then I just traveled south. So then I finished up in Argentina, and that's where I met Veronica and all the other amazing Venezuelans in Buenos Aires. And yeah, that's where I finished my trip, and yeah, what a city to finish on.
I can only imagine. That is so cool, though, because when you live on this side of the world, usually people go like, "Oh, I want to backpack Europe." That's the saying. That's what we say. That's what we want. And I say we because that's what I want. But I never had the chance these
Yeah.
previous years. And then 2020 was like the year that I could do it, and then everything happened. So I find it interesting that
Yeah,
you decided to actually
the world
come
fell
our
apart.
way. Yes.
Yeah, I don't actually know what it was, but there was always just something about the Latino culture. And then I went
Okay.
for a holiday to Brazil, and I realized that the language is different there, but there was just something about how happy everyone was, and energy. Everyone was just so upbeat and so happy, and I was like, oh my god, this is unbelievable. I want to come back to South America. And I think that's what really planted the seed. I was like, right, I'm going to start saving. And then eventually I was like, yeah, I'll just go check it out. And I suppose also I was always keen to try my hand at a second language, even
Okay.
though I can just about speak English. I still need to perfect it. But I was like, right, I go give myself a chance, try and immerse myself in the local community, local culture, and then try and learn as much as I can. And then yeah, it just expanded, and I didn't really plan to stay for as long as I did, but I just loved it so much that it worked out, and I suppose I was fortunate that I was able to let or have the opportunities that my
Yeah.
money was able to last, because I'd done a lot of like volunteer work so that I could keep traveling. Like, I didn't go with that much money. People probably think, oh, this guy's like a millionaire. It was
Yeah.
not the case. I just like lived places really cheap and traveled really cheap, and it just meant then I actually find that more fun.
That is so interesting, but it's true though. I think I don't want this to come out in the wrong way, but I do think that money does spread out better in South America for some reason. I don't know how it is in Europe, but in the United
Yeah.
States, like you like it just falls out of your hands. But in South America, it's a little easier to like
Oh,
make it work.
yeah. It's like, obviously there's certain places that are more expensive than others, but like there's so many places, your money goes a lot further, and like you could maybe set yourself a budget for maybe just on average $1,000 to last a month, whereas $1,000 probably would only last you 2 weeks in Boston if you're lucky. Maybe a week.
Exactly. Yeah, a little bit. That is so interesting. And so, why Bogota? Like, what made you choose that was your first destination? How did you get there?
It wasn't really that Bogota like stood
Okay.
out as like, oh, I want to go there. I wanted to go to Colombia, and anyone I spoke to says that Bogota was the easiest place to arrive into, just
Yeah.
because it's like the capital. So there was a lot of cheap airfare or flights.
Yeah.
So I went there. I only stayed like a few nights and checked it out. It was okay, but then I went to like other places in Colombia, and I loved Medellin. It was amazing because the climate was really nice. They call it the eternal spring, so it's just always like maybe 24, 25 degrees, just perfect. It's not too hot for an Irishman, and it's not too cold either, so it's just, yeah, just about right.
I was going to say, because the weather is completely
So I
different
checked
to
out there.
Ireland.
Oh, crazy. Like 25 degrees, I'd probably get sunburn. So it was a nice change. And that's where I took my first like lessons in Spanish, because I arrived to Colombia and I thought that, oh yeah, I can speak some Spanish. And like what I thought I could speak was like, ¿Cómo estás? Me llamo Mick. And that was it. Like I could not say a whole complete sentence. And I was like, oh my God, this is a disaster. I need to learn at least a bit more. And then I just started like going to like language exchanges or meeting locals and stuff like that. And slowly I was improving, but it was more just the fun aspect of it when you can speak to locals and you can like drink on the street, drink aguardiente on the street with the local men. You're like, oh yeah, this is good.
That is so amazing. So
yeah,
how,
it's even talking about it.
like the memories, I can only imagine. Did you know anyone in Colombia, or how did you immerse yourself into the culture? Like, how did you like knock on door? Like, hello, I'm coming from Ireland. Meet me. Like,
yeah, I just went and knocked on random doors and see if they would let me stay. No, so I'm joking. But I suppose it was like you can always like you can meet other travelers very easy, which I done for a while.
okay.
But then when I was in Medellin, I also realized that okay, if I'm staying here for like I stayed in Medellin for a month, so I was like I don't want to just stay in a hostel and speak English the whole time. So I just looked on like Airbnb, and then I got lucky that I was staying in a house with other guys my age, so we were able to go out at weekends and do stuff. And then I also met people through my Spanish school, and slowly but surely, if you just put yourself out there, you will meet people. You just need to be, I suppose, easygoing and just put yourself in situations that you may not do at home. So
That is so. I think that's one of that's a big thing for like, or at least in my culture, like the idea of traveling alone, and actually, because you do have to like put yourself out there. You have to be able to talk to the stranger person sitting in the class across from you, or maybe like if you're out eating or something, because it's the only way for you to actually gather like the Colombian experience, because otherwise you would have been speaking English with like everybody else.
yeah, and like don't get me wrong, you can still have a good experience by meeting other travelers and doing like going to nights out with them, which I done. But I realized that so much you're going to get a more authentic experience. It's like going to Venezuela, but just staying with Irish people or staying with English speakers. Whereas if you go and meet locals, then you're gonna know where the best bars are. You're gonna know where the best food is. You're gonna know how to avoid all the tourist traps and where the big crowds. So yeah, I think when you can travel with locals and hang with locals when you're travels, I think it just adds another dimension to the experience.
That's so amazing. So what countries did you go to? So you went to Colombia, and I know you were to Argentina. What happened in the middle?
I got very drunk, so I can't remember that 9 months in the middle.
That's a really Irish
No,
thing to
so
say.
very Irish. We're living up to the stereotype. No, so I basically worked my way south, so Ecuador, Peru. Then I stopped into Chile for a short period of time, Bolivia, and then I also went to Uruguay, or Uruguay, as you would say.
Uruguay, yes.
Uruguay. I'm bringing back the Spanish accent. And then, yeah, that was it. So in the whole 18 months, I think he only went to maybe 7 countries, which a lot of people would do that maybe in 3 or 4 months, but I just enjoy traveling slower.
I lived in South America for 18 years, and I think I visited like 2 countries. So you've done more than I did.
Right. Soy un local.
There you go. See? Have you kept your Spanish since you came back? Since you went back home?
Más o menos. No tan bueno, pero
Pero ahí
tampoco.
vamos, ¿no? Pero sí entiendes. tú hablas español.
Sí. Pero no, when I came back, I was like, oh, I knew I lost a good amount of it. So it is my goal for this year, 2021. I was like, I need to get back. Even just listening to podcasts. Maybe I listen to yours, but I slow down the speed and try and understand it.
I know I speak so fast. That's something that I have to work on. And it happens in English where my brain wants to go just as fast as it goes in Spanish, and it can't. Like my mouth cannot do that.
Yeah. I also attempt the same in Spanish, and then, as you says, you think you can, and then your brain it does not happen. So.
Nope.
But your English is perfect.
Thank you very much. I've been in the States for about 11 years now, so it's been a second.
Okay.
I've been in here for
Nice.
And then
you're local at the stage.
Yeah, no, for real. And then here in Boston, there is a lot of Irish culture too. There is a really different English than the English that I had in Florida, so it has helped. It's helped to, I don't know, help me talk, I guess.
That's brilliant. And I hope you've celebrated St. Patrick's Day then, with some Irish people over there.
It is an interesting day in here in Boston.
Yeah. Interesting being the very important word.
Being a very broad word to describe how St. Patrick's is indeed.
Yeah.
So in these 18 months that you were in South America, I am assuming you had really good experience, but then I'm also assuming that you had we Latinos were a little bit crazy. Did you have anything weird happen, or those stories are will remain in your brain forever?
Yeah, there's some probably that maybe I would not say on the podcast because it may not be the best to put out there. But nah, I was never any really bad experiences. A lot of it was maybe from my own mistakes. I became illegal in Argentina, and I had to pay a fine and to leave the country, and it was a lot of hassle or effort. I had to go to the embassy, and they wouldn't stamp my passport and let me leave the country because I was meant to go to Uruguay, but it was all my own fault. So stuff like that. Another time I was left at the border I was crossing from Peru to Bolivia. And again, my fault. I overstayed. I liked overstaying in these places. So I overstayed my visa. And I just assumed you could pay at the border. Normally you have a fine. And I just thought you pay the guy at the counter. No, you had to go to the next local town, which was a 15-minute journey in a tuk-tuk. So I had to take all my bags off the bus that I had paid for. And the bus driver would not wait. So I had to get a tuk-tuk to the nearest town, pay my fine, come back to the border, get stamped out of Peru, go into Bolivia, and then I had to attempt to go and find another bus in the middle of nowhere at this border crossing. So that was eventful also.
I can only imagine. So, those are stories that only happen to people that are backpacking. A local, that would never happen to them, but then they don't really relate to it either.
They probably would do more research, or they would know exactly what to do, whereas I was just so relaxed and it's cool, I just pay at the border and it's no big deal. And then I get to the border, no, you cannot pay here. I'm okay, try not to freak out here.
I can only imagine, but that is so interesting though, because they always say that when you travel, I was reading the saying is something travel is the only expense that you do where you earn more, or something around those lines. When you're traveling, what you get, it's unmeasurable.
For example, I started my online business when I was traveling South America. If I did not go traveling, I would not have started it because I would not have had the courage to do it at home. I would have been too scared to be judged by the people in my hometown or my friends, and I was a million miles from them. So I was I'm going to start this, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. and ever since, it has worked out so far. So yeah, I'm like, if it wasn't for the experience of going traveling, I probably would not have a business at the moment. So that alone it was worth the investment of time and experiences and money.
What were you doing before? Like, what was your job before? And what is your online business now?
So I was a project manager for a construction company.
Okay.
Which was okay. I did not love my job. It was like I get up on a Monday and I was like, back to work. So like that, and I always loved getting to the weekend so I could go out and drink and party.
A really Irish
Standard.
thing, and every working human being.
Yeah. And then I just started exploring my options, and I became a personal trainer. And then when I was traveling South America, I just started for free online with some like people that I'm friendly with, give them like coaching programs, and I done it all remotely. So they were in different countries around the world. And since then, it just has taken off, and now I have clients in Australia, Dubai, Ireland, England. So yeah, it's amazing how it's a short period of time also, which is hopefully it gives other people a push to maybe who are listening to go and try something different, because nothing ventured, nothing gained. That's what I say.
I did not understand the last sentence. What?
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I don't know how to say it in Spanish.
No, I love that. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's like, how would I translate that? Si no exploras, no ganas nada.
See. So yeah, you explore and you gain. And if you don't explore, you're not going to have the opportunity to gain. So the worst that happens is that it does not work out. You go back to what you were doing previously. It's no big deal. That's my approach anyway.
I'm thinking it's a way of saying like you have to step out of your comfort zone kind of thing. You have to be able to put yourself out there.
Yeah, but I suppose it's like anything, Coco. Yeah. Like even traveling for some people, they may find like that's outside their comfort zone. And for a lot of people, like going solo traveling maybe is not an enjoyable way to travel. And I get that it's not for everybody. But it also, you can get different experiences from that. You're going to probably develop your personality more because you have to go and speak to randomers and strangers. You don't have your friend group there that you can turn to, and it's your safety net nearly.
Yeah. Do you think, or do you feel that there was something intrinsic within you that changed after this trip?
Yeah, I probably never feel like a different person in so many aspects. I just probably more carefree in some aspects. Like one big thing I took away from like seeing in South America, there's some places is like very poverty stricken and people have not got a lot of money. And they were some of the happiest people that I met in my whole life. So I was like, this is crazy that you don't actually need to have a lot of things, or you don't need to have a lot of money. All you need is the simple things and just make the most of what you have and just enjoy life. So that's probably a big thing that I took away from South America.
I can imagine. I've heard that. I love traveling, and I haven't done it as much as I wish I did, especially on my adult life, because a whole thing of being an immigrant in the United States until everything gets cleared out. Yeah. I couldn't leave for many years, but even in the same, because what I like about your saying of the no venture, no gain is that sometimes you can just venture to the next town and see different people and see how people live differently there across the street.
Yeah. And it's the same in Ireland. I think it's the same in every country. Every like next town or next city has different like routines or different cultures, how they do things. So probably like in Caracas and then maybe Valencia, it's two different cultures.
It is.
So
it is. It's completely different. We love each other, but we also have like really clear lines in there too.
Yeah, don't cross over this line. Your repes are not as good as our repes.
Did you like arepas? Were you able to eat Venezuelan and Colombian arepas? I'm not gonna get into the arepa debate, but
Oh, well, I will tell you from a neutral point of view, the Venezuelan arepas are better. So that's my opinion.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Where do you eat Venezuelan arepas?
And Coco did not pay me to say that.
That made me so happy. Where do you eat arepas? Like, where do you eat Venezuelan arepas? Because you were in Colombia, but you didn't go to Venezuela.
No, but there is a lot of, like, obviously, you know, there's a lot of Venezuelans across South America, and they've all set up different, like, restaurants or cafes. So, like, everywhere you go, you can get Venezuelan arepas. Even in Galway, I'm living in Galway at the moment, and there is arepas here.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is crazy.
We did end up everywhere in the world, and I was reading a couple years ago when the arepa business became a big thing all over. We said that the arepa became our passport to travel the world, because we brought it everywhere. Pretty much that's our staple. Like arepas, you see a Venezuelan, you think about arepa. Like that's it. It's wow, that's amazing.
And it's so like the ingredients are so simple, but oh my god, it's so good. So yeah, I do love arepas.
That is great. Is there?
So hopefully someday I plan to sample them in Venezuela and get a local version.
You have to. It's not just the arepa, it's what we put on the inside, the way that it's made. Like I haven't been in Venezuela in years now. And still, even if I find really similar things here, really similar cheese or cheese that is made by the same people, or food cooked by the same by Venezuelans, even if it's not the same. Like when you're there and you get the culture of it, it's a completely different story. So hopefully one day we'll get to visit Venezuela.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We have a reunion with everybody.
That would be amazing. Was there any particular food that you like that you remember and bring close to your heart now that you're back home?
Outside of arepas, obviously. What else was there? Obviously, in Argentina, I spent a lot of time there. So, like, the asado there is absolutely amazing. So, like, that there was... like, each country had something different. Like, obviously, I was in Mexico before the pandemic hit. Like, the food in Mexico is amazing. The street food, the tacos, the churros. So yeah, like every country it was so good. Peru was the ceviche was amazing there.
I've never had ceviche in Peru, but I've had ceviche made by Peruvians, and I can only imagine how good it tastes when you're actually in Peru.
Oh, it's unbelievable, and it's so cheap as well. Like you can go to a small beach town, and like it is maybe $1.50, $2, and you get like ceviche and like it's amazing. And then what else? I'm trying to think in other countries. Obviously, then Colombia had a mixture of arepas, and then that was really it. They have a lot of fried food in Colombia. I suppose it's across the board in a lot of the countries, but they love frying plantain, bananas.
Yes. Oh,
I found that
we have that in Venezuela as well. That's one of my favorite things to eat.
Yeah, I found that like slightly weird. For me, I was like, what? You're frying bananas? Surely that defeats the purpose of eting a banana, which is meant to be healthy.
But it's not the banana. We fry the plantain, which is like the cousin. So...
yes. Well, that's true. So I think I tried it, but my taste buds were not up to it. I was like, so más o menos.
You know, the only time that I ever thought about like what frying a plantain was when I was here, and I had a conversation similar to that, because it's something that is fried, but it's sweet, but it's weird. But for me, it's like it's a staple of eating. It's like on a plate, there's plantains, like.
Yeah, it's plantain. Avocado, rice, everything.
Yeah, all over. That is true. That is something that you do find like wherever you go. And did you find like similarities in every country that you visited? Did you find things that repeated culture-wise maybe?
Yeah, I suppose certain countries, like I found Colombia and Venezuela were like maybe close. It was like brother, sister, and then or maybe cousins, then like maybe would it be Argentina and Uruguay would maybe be similar. I found their accents very similar. The sh, which I could not get used to the Argentinian accent. I like when I arrived there, I was like, is this Spanish they're speaking or is this Portuguese or what is
Because
this?
they also speak the way the sentences are made. Sometimes they're backwards. They're made like the sentence in general. It's a little different. So I can only imagine like your Spanish took a test in there.
Oh, big time. And I don't really think it succeeded. I think it took a pounding. So even but after living in Buenos Aires for like 6 months, I was like, I still don't understand these people. So I always looked forward to like meeting up with some Venezuelans because they were like, their accent was a lot more neutral and a lot slower. So I was like, okay, I can understand.
I'm amazed that you said slower because I think that like I feel like as a Venezuelan, I speak like 2,000 miles per hour. But I appreciate that comment.
Yeah, so maybe I'll not have to put you at full speed when I'm listening to your podcast. Maybe just like 0.75.
Okay, I'm gonna try to make it slower now that I know that you're listening. So, in regards to the podcast, you also started a podcast. Did that happen before you left on your trip? After you came back from your trip? Like when did the podcast become a thing?
Yeah, so it was after. It was probably after when I was in Mexico. I started it. So nearly close to 2 years after. Again, I went back to that quote: "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." So. Same as you, I enjoyed talking to people. I enjoyed like connecting with people and strangers and just like talking back and forth. And then I was like, I may as well try it. And yeah, so far so good. It's just something that I do nearly as like a hobby, or I don't do it as like I don't need to do it as part of my work. But obviously, I try to link the two together and get guests on who are related to what I'm trying to do. It's like trying to help people with their body, change their lifestyle, become happier and healthier. So it's all sort of intertwined and linked. So that was the logic behind it. And yeah, at the moment, it's very small scale, but I enjoy it. So it's like, yeah, keep it going.
Exactly. As long as you love it. And I've noticed that like part of your podcast is also like, it's like kind of like life coaching and also like based with like your fitness and like and tips and all these things. Because I've seen that and I found it really interesting. It's really cool.
Can you understand me in the podcast? Because I know I also speak fast.
I can. I have to challenge. I have to put all my brain to work to like understand accent sometimes when it's like just heard and not seen. But yes, I can.
That's impressive. Yeah, you definitely cannot multitask and be scrolling social media and then trying to understand.
No. That one does take a lot of my brain to understand, but I do get it. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Brilliant. That's impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So where are we now? And are you, whenever this whole thing happened, are you planning to keep on traveling? Would you like to be what is it that they call an expat, or like work remotely everywhere?
Like a digital nomad, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't actually like using that term. I don't know. It's just something about it. But I just, it's something that I probably still would like to do because it was the main reason why I set up my business 100% online even before COVID. Yeah. I wanted to be like location independent so that I could like take my laptop and move to a different part of Ireland or move to a different country. So I don't really know how it's going to work out in the coming weeks or in the coming months because I'll just see what happens. But I definitely still have that travel bug and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to explore a lot more Latin America and a lot more of just other places in general. So it's just see what happens, I suppose.
That is so cool. I think that people like us that have the travel bug, I don't think we ever lose it. I don't think it goes away. I don't think there's ever enough exploring that we can do.
Yeah, I think you're right. And sometimes it's nearly it's nearly a bad thing because like you can't actually settle in one place. And I found that, and my mum always tells me that. You're like, oh, here he goes again. He's off on another trip. We'll not see him for another year and a half. So it's hard, but as long as you're enjoying it, you're having fun, and you're making experiences and memories. Like especially at our age, I think it's more, you can't get back time, but you can get back money. So that's the way I look at it. That your 20s is for exploring and making the memories, and then once you can look back, like I look back now that I can't travel now, and I look back at my time in South America, and I was like, I'm so glad I done it and spent all that money, because it was the best investment I made.
Yeah, you made an investment in your life. That's what like that saying that I always refer to, and I never know how it actually goes, but it's something like it's something like that. It's like it's money that you put out, but what you gain from the experience, and it doesn't have to be that you go away for 18 months. It can literally be a week. It can be a weekend that you go explore somewhere else, and then that changes your mindset.
And I've met, like, some of my friends I've met, like, I know they've went maybe like just a weekend, like maybe a city break to somewhere in Europe on their own, and it just give them a different change in their perception and how they see certain things, or how they look at travel, or and that's why I would nearly challenge everyone to go on at least one trip solo, just to at least try it, because until you try it, you're never going to actually know if it's for you or if it's not for you. And there's always going to be like that fear of, oh, I don't really want to do that, or I'm going to be on my own, or it may be dangerous. And there's always going to be like a million voices telling you not to do it. But I always say, just go with that, like one voice that's telling you to do it. And if it doesn't work out, you're just a flight away from home. So that's the way I look at it.
I love the way that you see it. You're just a flight away from home. I love that.
So like, yeah, I don't know. For some people, they probably think, no, that's crazy. But like, if everything went wrong and I get mugged and lost all my money in Colombia and lost my passport and everything, I would be able to like pick up the phone and ring the embassy and try and figure out a way to get home, and I would be back home within a few days. Yeah. So it's no big deal.
100%. I think, I think the same way. And it's like, honestly, I'm talking to you and I am thinking of all the travel that I want to do and how to get out of COVID time. Because you have no clue how much is it encouraging me again to travel. And I'm thinking that people here and will feel the same way, but it is true. It is true. Like you're just an embassy away. Like I went to Colombia actually in October. And that was one thing that I was telling my dad.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I had never been to Colombia before, and I went to Bogota for a week. So that's funny that you went to Bogota as well.
Nice.
I loved it. Fell in love with the city. It was amazing. And a lot of the tourist things were open. So I was able to visit the cathedrals and stuff. And I remember telling my mom and my dad, worst case scenario, the American embassy is in there. They'll get me out. They'll send me back home.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And that's a great way to look at it, because then it takes away all that sort of fear or self-doubt, and you probably had such a good time. Yeah. I can even just tell from you describing it that you loved it. So it was probably a worthwhile trip.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it was an investment on my mental health, because it was I was trapped in here for 8 months. It was an investment on life, on adding culture to I didn't do 18 months, but I did 5 days, and it was amazing. So yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And that's a thing for anyone that's listening. You don't need to do 18 months. No. Most people will not be able to do that, and I completely understand that. And I say to people, you don't have to do that long of a period of time to get the benefits. You may even do you could do a weekend, as I said, in a different city outside of your hometown, and if you do it on your own, or do it with a few friends, but just try and explore it, and maybe slightly differently to how you would normally travel. And I just think if you start to do things differently, you get different insights. And whereas if you just keep doing the same things over and over again, go for example, Irish, I love Irish people, but sometimes we're very guilty of going to a foreign city or a foreign country and then just drinking in Irish bars. And I'm like, what's the point of that? You may as well not leave Ireland. Do you know what I mean? So if I go to Brazil, or if I go to Argentina, in Buenos Aires, there's a lot of Irish bars, but that's not where the fun was. The best fun was in some of the, I look back to, there was a bar called Caracas, and it was unbelievable for salsa dancing. I was probably the worst dancer there, but it was a good night's fun. So
I love that. That is a really great way to see it, because sometimes we do like mix with people that are like are similar to ours, so they feel a little bit of home. But you also have to put yourself out there. Like if
Yeah,
I go to I can find a Venezuelan restaurant everywhere because, as you said, we're all over the
yeah,
place. But if I don't go, like if I don't go to the Irish bar in here, maybe I won't get the Boston culture because you guys were here.
yeah,
So it is like that.
yeah.
That is so amazing. Thank you so
So
much,
I don't
Mick.
know. That's just something that I suppose for me it has worked for me that you're meeting different people outside of your own nationality, which is for me it's one of the main reasons you go
Yeah,
traveling.
100%, 100%. Thank you so much for this. I feel like, one, I'm super empowered now to travel again. I am packing everything as when we hang up. I'm gonna start looking for flights or
Yeah,
something.
straight straight to the airport.
Pretty much, I'll be like, bye. Um, not that fast, but yes, I do want to travel again, and I'm grateful for this conversation. I honestly like feel like I cannot explain like the butterflies that I have in my stomach because I love flying and I love traveling and I love the cultural immersiveness of it, and then the fact that
Yeah,
like I said at the beginning, for you it was South America, and for me it's Europe. Like I've always wanted to go there and like do the similar thing, like be there and be exposed to not understanding the accent of the people, be exposed to seeing how every
yeah,
single country has a different culture, even though it's like Europe. Like because people go like, I want to go to Europe, and but it's like, where actually like where do you want to go? Croatia is different than Spain. Like it's all these little different things, and I
yeah,
want to be able to gather that and experience that. And I love that you did it the
yeah.
other way.
Yeah, and Europe would be amazing for like there's so much that I still need to travel Europe myself, and as you said, it's small and like there's so many different cultures in like in such a short distance.
Yeah,
So like you could get a train from the next country to the next country, so you could do it
yeah.
very easily. So yeah, keep me posted if you come to Ireland. I can make sure to get you the best bars.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna
We
have to
get
like
you a pint of Guinness.
I have to train my liver for that.
Yeah, there'll be a few Irish people that'll help you in Boston, I'm sure.
Yes, they will. 100%. There's so many in here. Make, I'm gonna close the episode with I have some questions that I've been gathering questions that I want people to at my first last year, my first season, what I call it, I had like a specific question that I have for closing, but then people start suggesting one. So I'm gonna do my last top three.
Yeah.
Really easy. So this is not a question. Well, yes, it is a question. Let's add it in there. If you drink coffee, how do you drink your coffee?
What do you mean? How do you drink it?
How do you drink your coffee? Do you do ice? You do cold? You do American coffee? You do black coffee?
Oh, like what style or what type?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Sorry. I love a cappuccino,
Oh, cool.
so that would be my go-to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I like to know, like, at first people were asking me like maybe like cold coffee or iced coffee or hot coffee because that's a really American thing. But then I was like, no, how do you take your coffee? That's, I don't know, how we ask the question here. How do you take your coffee? How do you guys ask that?
How do you take? Okay. What? I don't know. What type of coffee do you like?
Okay. I'll add
I
that too.
suppose maybe it depends. Yeah. But maybe it's just me being awkward with our English is very backward sometimes. So yeah, don't mind me.
No, that is a really I think that's a good way to ask. I've never thought about it. Um, the second question
Yeah.
is I don't do you have anyone in particular in your life that you think has inspired you, or someone that like has sparked anything in you?
I think that people come and go all the time, and
Mhm.
like there's like different things that I've taken from different people. For example, there's one guy who I have taken my sort of business knowledge from, a guy from Ireland called Brian Keane. And then there's other people that I've taken my travel, and they've inspired me to travel. So yeah, there's probably not one person that jumps out, but just a handful of people.
I love that, because sometimes you do
So it
need
doesn't
like
really answer the question, sorry.
no, it does, because sometimes you do need a variety of people to, like you said, you have your business and then you have your travel.
Yeah.
So not just one
Yeah.
person can encompass everything that you're looking for. I like that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, true.
And then the last question is, if you picture Mick 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and you could tell that person something today, if you could tell that Mick from the past something today, what would you say to him?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say just whatever you have in your head, even if it seems impossible or like a bit far-fetched or a dream that is not reality, I would say explore it, try it, start, like, put the wheels in motion. And again, there's no risk without trying. So nothing ventured, nothing gained, as I said earlier. And then if it doesn't work out, no big deal. If it works out, then brilliant. Like, you've no regrets then.
Yeah. I am gonna get that phrase like painted or something. I love it. Absolutely love it. Mick, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was about to call you Mike. I'm so sorry. Mick. My brain was like,
You're okay.
but thank you so
You've
much.
done very, very well to last this long with the English.
Oh, I tried that one.
No, thank you, Coco. Thanks for asking me on.
No, I love it. When Vero told me about you, I was like, I would love to talk to him, because I think I relate just by knowing the little bit of your story that I knew about. I thought I could relate, and I wanted to hear what it was for you to be in South America, what it was for someone from the other side of the world come visit like Latin America and be immersed in the Latin culture. And I think I'm grateful that you did that, and I am grateful that you brought it up on this episode. So thank you so much for that.
No problem at all. Thanks a million, and I'm looking forward to tuning in to future episodes.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Mick. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, because it's morning for me, but it's afternoon for you. And we'll talk later.
Chao.
Chao. Bueno, espero que hayan disfrutado este episodio tanto como yo. Espero que hayan entendido mi inglés. Si tienen alguna pregunta, si hay alguna palabra que no entendiste, si tienes algún comentario, lo que sea, simplemente déjame saber. Y como siempre les digo, si tienes una historia que tú quieras contar, una historia de alguien que quieras contar, una pregunta que quieres que conteste en este podcast, o una duda, un tema, déjame saber. Recuerda que siempre me puedes conseguir por Instagram, @un.cafeconcoco, un es un, un.cafeconcoco, o me puedes escribir aquí si me estás viendo en YouTube, me puedes dejar un comentario. Déjame saber, cuéntame qué te llama la atención, con quién quieres que hablemos. Y bueno, con eso los dejo por ahora. Espero que tengan una semana excelente, que disfruten la primavera que ya casi nos llega. Y bueno, nos estamos viendo. ¡Mua! Bye.